My grandparents passed away recently. I followed the guidelines my grandma set up for her final event. Her church, her burial plot, her casket, and the same for my grandpa. I just didn't expect it to be a joint funeral. I sent out the notifications to friends of theirs and family after the date was set in stone. Their friends all came, so did most of my grandma's church, but no family showed up. I wasn't surprised. I hadn't seen most of them in about 4 years. I had a great time with my grandparents' friends, and then I went back home and cried my heart out. I had been their sole caregiver and I didn't know what to do without them. I had taken care of them for 15 years. It started with little things like lifting heavy things and escalated to needing to change the bed twice a night sometimes. I was empty and started to scroll through my grandpa's Facebook to see pictures he posted before his memory went. I found a group, started about 3 years ago, that was being flooded with activity. When I went poking around, I found out it was my mother who was hosting a funeral at her church and was trying to get final expenses taken care of. I was stunned. Here was the woman I hadn't spoken to since throwing her out of the house for stealing jewelry and upsetting Grandma terribly by using her Alzheimer's against her. How could you forget my birthday? You promised to give me this. I went to the funeral my mother had planned and listened to the pastor, and then my mother got up to talk. She told everyone how hard it was taking care of them, and something inside me roared to life. I don't remember everything I said, but it did include that she didn't pay for anything for them, not their caskets, not their burial plots, not their cremation, nothing. I told everyone I put them to rest at the funeral Grandma planned herself 4 days prior. I said she'd never paid for any of their care or even seen them for 4 years. I was asked to leave and drove home. Later, a cousin asked me if what I said was true, and when I said it was and I could provide proof, they explained my mother had been taking funds from the family for years to pay for their care at a facility because they had outlived their insurance policy. They also explained I got a lot of people in trouble because somewhere in the speech I shouted I had done it all alone for years without any help. A lot of family members used my grandparents as an excuse to get out of work and had invited their co-workers to the funeral. By hearing my outburst, they were now in trouble for lying about the reasons to leave work or miss days. She then went on to ask me about the inheritance and when that would be passed out. I told her that if anyone had earned the inheritance, it had already been taken care of. I thought I was in the right, but now I'm doubting myself after so many cousins and family members are calling to tell me I handled it really poorly. Am I the idiot? Did I handle this badly? Everyone's telling me I did. Update, thank you all. I felt I was the jerk because of how badly I reacted at the memorial service my mother held. It was very far out of character for me. I am usually very quiet and I don't talk too often, much like my grandpa. I screamed at them, I cried, I waved my arms, and made an absolute spectacle of my grief. I feel so embarrassed by how I argued and carried on. Several family members are asking questions and seem genuinely bewildered by the circumstances. This happened on Sunday, and it's Friday now. I am still feeling as lost as I did at first. One of my uncles did lose his job. That was confirmed earlier. He had multiple schemes going on at his workplace with a need for a medical lift bed for Grandma, and got his co-workers to donate around $8,000 in total. The gossip queens that attended the funeral told everyone Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon, he was in trouble with HR. This wasn't the only way he tried to earn funds. There are at least 2 others I know about from his son. His son, my cousin, is furious with his dad and my mom. He and several other cousins of mine are suing my mother for taking funds from them. They thought they were helping pay for 24-hour care at an assisted living facility. Every month, my mother was collecting between $2,000 and $9,000 from family members. She would lament to them how hard and soul-crushing it was to see such strong people just staring vacantly off into space, how they were unresponsive, but this wasn't true. My cousins apologized for not reaching out to me, but I'm not very close with anyone in my family. Some of you guessed it in the DMs, but yeah, I was an affair baby. I came out wrong, and my mother's husband divorced her over it. The people I was closest to growing up were my grandparents. It's bad enough that some of the cousins forgot I was a family member at all. It's a huge mess. They're apologizing, but I just don't want anything to do with them. Grandpa's business is not worth millions, but it pays the bills. It's a handyman company. My family is asking about the company, how everything is going there, and I'm putting up a stony face. It's not the family business, it's mine, and it has been for years. All of the employees respect me because I treat them the same way Grandpa did. I do still mess up some things that they tease me for. It's a very friendly place to work. One of Grandpa's properties is just a fenced-in yard with covered storage for the different projects. It's right next to the business property and is just where we work on remodeling old RVs or turning vans into RVs. We have a few friends parked there too, but it's just a dirt lot with gravel, a fence, and a cover. There are some security cameras there and so far no issues. I thought I would give an overall update and just thank you all for the support. I've felt so lost, and I really did think I was TA for exposing them. Jobs are important and hard to come by out here, and it's not just going to affect them. It's going to affect their partners, their children, and even their pets. I feel most guilty about who else exposing them affected. Thank you. I really didn't expect this to blow up like it did. I'm going to keep reading and responding to comments. Thank you all again. This has been so incredible. I was never supposed to be angry about anything, but seeing all the comments cussing out my family has been more cathartic than I can express. Thank you. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. Hire a probate attorney, ASAP. If they left anything at all behind, hire a probate attorney. And I mean anything at all. Having trouble accessing a bank account? That's because your power of attorney, if you had one, is void now that they are gone. Some banks are nice, some require probate. They had a house? Probate. Find the wills. If they had things like a house and bank accounts, you can no longer access and know wills. The best you can do is get an attorney, or your mother can and will try to take everything as a direct heir. Mess with her plans. Search NALA.org, National Association of Elder Law Attorneys, to find someone in your area to help you. I'm so sorry for your loss. You have enough on your plate. Get an attorney to lighten the load. Just call. You'll eventually find someone like me who will be sad with you and know everything you need to do. It gets better, I promise. Comment 2. Not the jerk. I'm honestly not entirely sure how you could have handled that better without being ignored. Your family members created these situations for themselves and now must deal with the consequences. I mean, most if not all of them came to their actual funerals. You handled everything both for their care over the last 15 years and in their passing, and that's probably been very hard for you, especially if you don't have any support yourself. I hope you do. Be kinder to yourself. You're grieving and will need some time to heal. If you need someone to talk to, feel free to DM me now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a tough couple of weeks since my grandparents' funeral, and a lot has happened that I didn't expect. After the joint funeral I held for my grandparents, I discovered that my mother had been planning her own funeral for them at her church. She was trying to raise money for final expenses, even though I had already taken care of everything. I was shocked and angry, especially since my mother hadn't spoken to me or my grandparents in 4 years after I caught her stealing jewelry from my grandmother. I went to the funeral my mother had planned and listened to her talk about how hard it was for her to take care of my grandparents. Something inside me snapped, and I stood up and told everyone the truth. I don't remember everything I said, but I made it clear that my mother hadn't paid for anything related to their care or funeral, and that I had been their sole caregiver for the past 15 years. After my outburst, I was asked to leave. Later, a cousin reached out to me and asked if what I said was true. When I confirmed it was and offered proof, they revealed that my mother had been collecting money from family members for years, claiming it was to pay for my grandparents' care at a facility. My cousin also mentioned that my speech had gotten several family members in trouble at work, as they had used my grandparents as an excuse to miss days or leave early, and had even invited co-workers to the funeral. The situation escalated when more cousins started contacting me about the inheritance. I told them that if anyone had earned it, it had already been taken care of. Now I'm starting to doubt myself after receiving numerous calls from family members telling me I handled the situation poorly. It's been a few days since the confrontation at my mother's funeral, and I'm still feeling lost and confused. I've learned that one of my uncles lost his job due to his involvement in my mother's schemes. He had been raising money from co-workers, claiming it was for medical equipment for my grandmother. When the truth came out, he was fired. Several of my cousins are now suing my mother for the money she collected from them over the years. They believed they were helping to pay for my grandparents' care in an assisted living facility, but it turns out my mother was pocketing the money for herself. The whole situation has brought to light some painful family history, including the fact that I was born as a result of an affair, which led to my mother's divorce. I've been trying to focus on running my grandpa's handyman business, which I've been in charge of for years. The employees respect me, and we have a friendly work environment. However, my family has started asking questions about the business and the properties associated with it. I'm not interested in sharing any details with them, as I consider the business to be mine, not the family's. Throughout all of this, I've been struggling with feelings of guilt and self-doubt. I never wanted to cause trouble for anyone, but I couldn't stand by and watch my mother take advantage of people's generosity and sympathy. I worry about the impact my actions will have on my family members and their loved ones, but at the same time, I know I did what I felt was right. Thank you all for your support and kind words. It means more to me than I can express. I've always been taught to keep my emotions in check, but seeing so many people validate my anger and frustration has been incredibly cathartic. I'm going to keep reading and responding to comments as I navigate this difficult time. Thank you again for being there for me. Am I the idiot for taking time off from my family because they only care about my sister's health issues? I'm a 16-year-old male and I'm a glass child. My sister, who is 15 years old and female, was born with chronic health problems and a physical disability. Her life hasn't been easy, and she's often in pain and limited in what she can and cannot do. This meant that our parents were always making special time for her and doing what they could to let her enjoy being a kid. However, it also meant that my parents weren't really my parents. They would take her places and leave me behind at home or with someone else in the family. I never got the same time with them. They even missed 2 of my birthdays completely because they had focused so much on bringing my sister to concerts she wanted to go to that they forgot my birthday and didn't even get me something small like a $5 gift card, which they did a few times when their money was more focused on my sister. I spent most of my time with my paternal grandparents when I was younger, but my grandma died 3 years ago, and my grandpa lives in a nursing home in another city, so I don't have them anymore, which made it more difficult. Infection 19 was also super lonely because I felt lonely and like my parents and sister were a family, and I was the intruding roommate. In April of 2020, my sister actually had a temper tantrum and broke some of my gaming stuff. Not only was it never acknowledged at all, but it wasn't replaced either. They only focused on the fact that my sister was so upset that she did it. A few months ago, I decided I needed to talk to my parents to see if it could get better. They decided we needed therapy together. In therapy, it was recommended that we spend more time together like they do with my sister. So we did that once a week. However, they still spent the rest of the week focused on my sister. It only just started when my sister got so jealous and had a meltdown over them focusing on me, and she accused our parents of preferring me to her. My parents then asked me if I could be understanding and give more time before we focus on ourselves because my sister really needed them and couldn't deal with sharing them at that point. I was so mad and hurt, but I also felt so done. So I told my parents not to bother because their only child clearly needs them, and I'll be out of their hair as soon as I can be. They went back to my sister being their only focus, and I stopped caring. This made them suggest all 4 of us go to therapy, but with someone new since the old place we went to would not be happy with them ignoring the advice. They told me that's all that will work now. I said no. They told me this is how we work on things all together and fix things. I told them it was too late, that I didn't have them being my parents for 15 years, and I'm expected to be okay with that until my sister feels okay about sharing. I told them they made the choice of whose feelings mattered more, and just like always, they put her first. So I was done and I didn't want to fix it. They have begged me a few times since, and they told me they're willing to work on it, so I need to be reasonable. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but I do recommend you go to therapy for yourself to learn how to cope with this as you get older. You would be surprised by how much built-up resentment you have that it is always great to get it off your chest and have someone to listen and guide you. Your parents made their choice, and if they cannot even spend one day with you out of the week because of your sister, then that is on them. Forcing you to do therapy together is unreasonable, especially since the number one thing they will advise is for them to spend one-on-one time with you, which has proven to be ineffective. Comment 2. Not the idiot. They made their bed and they can lie in it. I have never understood why parents with multiple children always treat one better than the other. My mother has 3 children, and she does this and always makes one of us the new random golden child of the month year, and I hate it. So sorry you're going through this, man. Have you ever considered individual therapy just by yourself to process everything? Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your support. It's been a week since I shared my story, and a lot has happened since then. After my parents' repeated attempts to convince me to attend therapy with them and my sister, I finally agreed to give it a shot. I figured that maybe, just maybe, this could be a turning point for our family. The therapist seemed to understand my perspective and encouraged my parents to make more of an effort to spend quality time with me. At first, things seemed to be looking up. My parents started making more of an effort to include me in family activities and even planned a special day out, just for the 2 of us. However, it wasn't long before old patterns began to resurface. My sister, who had been relatively calm during the first few days, started to show signs of jealousy and resentment towards the attention I was receiving. One evening, while my parents were out with me, my sister had a massive meltdown at home. She called my parents, crying and screaming, accusing them of abandoning her and loving me more. My parents, visibly torn, decided to cut our outing short and rushed home to console her. I was left sitting in the car, watching as they hurried inside, once again prioritizing my sister's needs over mine. The incident triggered a memory from my childhood that I had long suppressed. When I was about 8 years old, my parents had planned a special trip to the zoo for my birthday. I had been looking forward to it for weeks, but on the morning of our planned outing, my sister fell ill. My parents decided to cancel the trip and stay home to take care of her. I remember feeling devastated and angry, but I never expressed those feelings out of fear of being seen as selfish. As I sat in the car watching history repeat itself, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of resentment towards my sister. I know it's not her fault, and I feel guilty for even thinking it, but a part of me can't help but wonder what my life would have been like if she had never been born. The next day, my parents apologized for cutting our outing short and promised to make it up to me, but their words rang hollow. I couldn't shake the feeling that no matter what they said or did, my sister would always come first. That's when I made a decision. I told my parents that I appreciated their efforts, but that I needed some time and space to process everything. I said that I would continue to attend therapy sessions, but that I needed to do it on my own terms. They seemed hurt by my decision, but ultimately respected my wishes. In the days that followed, I started to open up more in therapy. I talked about my feelings of neglect and resentment and how I felt like I had never really had a chance to be a kid. My therapist helped me to see that my feelings were valid and that it was okay to prioritize my own needs and well-being. As the week came to a close, I realized that I had a choice to make. I could continue to hold on to my anger and resentment, or I could try to move forward and build a better future for myself. I knew that it wouldn't be easy, but I also knew that I deserved to be happy and to have a life that was fulfilling and meaningful. So that's where I'm at now. I'm taking things one day at a time, focusing on my own growth and well-being. I know that my relationship with my parents and sister may never be perfect, but I'm learning to accept that and to find my own path forward. Thanks again for all your support and for taking the time to read my story. It means more than you know. Am I the idiot for asking my parents to keep the family house purchase a secret from my sister until closing? So I, a 28-year-old female, recently got the opportunity to purchase a house that has been in the family for quite a while, over 80 years. I have been staying at home with my parents rent-free for nearly my entire life. I occasionally contribute with groceries, dinners, household chores, and yard work, but they have never charged me rent despite me offering. I work in public education and don't make great money, so it has been very helpful to save up. I started the purchase process and have locked in an interest rate and have nearly everything ready. The closing date is set for a month from now. I have asked my parents not to say anything to my sister, a 26-year-old female, until I close and start to move because we don't get along well, and I don't want to deal with the fallout I believe will come. She has also been living at home, but instead of saving money, she spends quite a bit. She's bought 2 new cars within 3 years, got large tattoos, goes on vacations, etc. She has a large storage unit filled with stuff she claims she has bought for when she buys a house. I don't care how she spends her money, but she makes significantly more than me and has wiped most of her savings out by living like this. Instead of waiting like I asked, they went ahead and told her. They claimed it was too difficult to keep it a secret and that she knew something was going on. Now she is basically throwing a tantrum, saying that it isn't fair I get to buy a house and she doesn't, claiming that they never helped her with anything, etc. Every time she sees me, she is pissed off and starts a fight. I told them that this was what was going to happen, and they claim that they couldn't have known / didn't think she was going to act like this. I feel like I am rightfully upset about this, but they say I am acting like a child and need to just get over it. Am I the jerk? Edit. I really truly did not think this was going to get as much attention as it has. Here are a few answers to questions I keep seeing. 1. I am not getting any kind of monetary discount on the house. I got first offerings because the relative who is selling it asked me first and I said yes. The only thing I am getting is the washer, dryer, and snowblower that they're leaving behind. 2. My sister has been shown the house by my parents, now that she knows I found this out about an hour ago, and she has commented on how ugly she thinks it is and that she hates it. She claims she wouldn't have wanted it anyway, but is still very angry about it all. 3. The house overall is about $200,000 in a moderately cost of living area. It has 4 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. I am not planning on getting a roommate. I would prefer to be alone. 4. This house isn't sentimental to her or me in any way. We didn't grow up going to this house for holidays or gatherings. We have both been in it maybe 3 times prior to me purchasing it. 5. I don't believe my parents are being intentionally disrespectful, rude, or spiteful. I believe them when they say it was hard to keep it a secret. I just wish they would have listened when I asked them to wait. 6. My sister and I have had a rocky relationship for years. We don't speak often despite living in the same house, and our work schedules are pretty opposite, so we can typically naturally avoid one another. 7. When I said occasionally contribute, I meant when I have time. I work 50, 60-hour weeks, and by the time I go to do something, it often is already done. I do my best to help out despite those of you who think I don't do anything. My mom is also the kind of person who constantly refuses help and gets upset if you insist on helping, so I don't push it to save everyone's sanity. Thank you so much to everyone who is saying congratulations and nice things. I really do appreciate it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. She claims they never helped her with anything. How about a free place to live? That's a luxury, to be honest, and not very many people get that opportunity. Hell, there's kids who are turning 18 and saying their own parents will be charging them rent. Not the idiot. Just ignore your sister and don't engage. She's just upset because you're getting something she isn't. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Point out to your sister that you aren't doing anything to stop her from buying a house. She needs to go to her credit union / bank and get pre-qualified for a mortgage. They'll tell her what they're willing to lend her. Then she should start looking. Something tells me they won't lend her much, if at all, if she's that bad with her money. That should shut her up. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been about a month since my last post and a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank you all for your support and advice. It really means a lot to me. So the closing date for the house finally arrived and everything went smoothly. I was so excited to finally have a place of my own. My parents helped me move some of my stuff in, and we had a little celebration dinner together. It was a great day. However, things quickly took a turn for the worse. My sister found out that I had officially bought the house and she completely lost it. She showed up at the house unannounced, screaming and yelling about how unfair it was that I got to buy a house and she didn't. She accused our parents of playing favorites and said that they never helped her with anything. I tried to calm her down and explain that it wasn't like that, but she wouldn't listen. She started throwing things around the house and even broke a window. I was shocked and scared. I had never seen her act like this before. My parents eventually showed up and managed to get her to leave, but the damage was done. The house was a mess and I was left feeling shaken and upset. I couldn't believe that my own sister would behave this way. Over the next few weeks, things only got worse. My sister started spreading rumors about me at work, telling people that I had stolen the house from her and that our parents had given it to me for free. It was completely untrue, but some people started to believe her. I tried to confront her about it, but she just laughed in my face and said that I deserved it for being such a spoiled brat. I was at a loss for what to do. I didn't want to involve our parents any more than I already had, but I knew I couldn't let her keep doing this. That's when I remembered something from our childhood. When we were kids, my sister had a habit of stealing things from me and then lying about it. She would take my toys or clothes and then claim that they were hers all along. I never understood why she did it, but it always made me feel powerless and frustrated. I realized that this was just another example of her trying to take something that was mine. She couldn't stand the fact that I had achieved something that she hadn't, so she was trying to tear me down and make me look bad. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. I couldn't just let her keep spreading lies about me, but I also didn't want to stoop to her level and start a big fight. In the end, I decided to take the high road. I sat down with my parents and explained everything that had been happening. I told them about the rumors my sister had been spreading and how it was affecting me at work. I also reminded them about her history of stealing and lying when we were kids. They were shocked and disappointed to hear about her behavior. They promised to talk to her and try to get her to stop, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. My sister has always been stubborn and difficult to reason with. In the meantime, I'm trying to focus on settling into my new home and moving forward with my life. It hasn't been easy, but I know I made the right decision in buying this house. It's a place where I can build a future for myself and create my own memories. I'm still not sure what the future holds for my relationship with my sister. I hope that someday we can find a way to move past this and have a better relationship. But for now, I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks again for all your support and advice. It really means a lot to me. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.